Hey, welcome to the Podcast Domination Show, where we help you launch, grow, monetize, and dominate the podcasting space. This is a show where we believe that if you can get attention with your podcast, you can influence someone. And if you can influence someone, you can get them to take massive action. And if you can get someone to do that, you, my friend, can dominate. I'm Luis Diaz, your host and founder of Podcast Domination, and I'm your guide. Let's go.
All right, I think we're live. Boom. Okay, cool. So, for those on the podcast who can't visually see me, I am sitting out by my pool, getting bit by mosquitoes, and trying to talk about the 3 best ways to grow your podcast in 2019. That's right. So, I'm writing a book on this, but I'm going to share with you 3 things that I think are going to, if you pursue them relentlessly, they will really help your show grow like wildfire. So, I'm going to restrict from calling out all the shoutouts on Facebook or on Instagram Live. But I see you guys. Thank you for the support. But anyway, let's jump into number 1. Strategy number 1. I've talked about this before, and it's something I'm doing as well. And I think I'm going to share with you guys some easy ways to really accelerate this. But number 1 is guesting. So podcast guesting. If you have a podcast, or even if you don't have a podcast and you just want to get your name out there and build your brand, that is one of the best ways to do it. I was recently interviewed on a friend of mine's show, and it went great. And you know, it's those simple connections that you make at places like events. That's how actually I met my buddy Paul, whose show I went on. But it's for me, I find it the best way to get into a guesting position or get into a position where you're getting asked to be on a lot of shows is to go to events. Or the second way, if you can't afford to go to an event or you don't have the time to go to an event, is to get a warm intro from a friend. So either an email intro or maybe an Instagram DM. That is the second best way to negotiate or find your way in a podcast interview. And I recommend, someone asked me the other day, and we were doing a consulting call, and they asked me, should I be going on other shows? And I was like, hell yeah. Like, you need to be getting on shows as much as possible. Every time someone says yes, at his stage, it was, his show's not big enough to where he would have to really turn down any shows. But so if you're small and growing, then say yes to everything. I mean, you just need to get your name out there. You just need to get more people to hear your message, hear your story, hear what you have to say. And for me, I found that it's had a big ROI already. I was on Pat Flynn's podcast, Ask Pat 2.0, a few months ago, and I had someone call me and just want to jump on a call like immediately, and I was like, okay, this is great. So you get kind of like a warm intro because the audience really gets to know you through that interview. So it's a great way to build relationships at scale, in my opinion. So guesting, number 1 way to grow your show in 2019 is best way to establish relationships with these hosts is to go to events that they're at, or you can get a warm intro from someone who knows them that also knows you. That's number 1. Number 2 is getting your guest to share your show. And this is not easy, especially if you're dealing with big name people who don't have time or don't really care. The fact, they don't care about sharing your show on their social media or with their email list. So there's some strategy that goes into this. But getting someone else to share your show is really, really important, especially if they're the guest. In this context, I'm talking about the guest sharing your show on their email list. I'm getting bit by mosquitoes here, guys, so bear with me if you see me slapping around on Instagram Live. But anyways, with their email list, yes, with their social media following, Instagram right now especially, and then also Facebook or wherever they have a huge audience. So for me, that looks like two tricks there to get that happen. Number 1, the first thing you want to do is when you ask them on your show, you want to send them an email that says, hey, when the show's over, I'm going to send you some assets from the show that are going to be for Instagram. All I ask is that you post them on your story or on your feed once or twice after the show goes live. That's it. And just say, cool, ? Or just say, is that something you can do? Make sure you get that yes from them, because that way they've acknowledged you and they said, yes, okay, I'm going to share it with my audience as well. So that's a big one. So before they get on the show, you need to be clear about what you want them to do after the show. Number 2 is to make it really, really stupid simple. So you need to be creating the swipe captions. I mean, you need to be creating the captions for them to post, creating the images, make sure they look good, not you, creating the sound bites so that they are edified, so you're making them look good, because people want to look good. They don't want to post something that makes you look good. They want to post something that makes them look good. So take the sound bite that makes them look like a genius and give it to them. Put their picture on it. Put your title on it, so-and-so podcast, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe put your logo at the bottom or somewhere small. But you want to make sure they are the star. Make them the hero. You're just the guide or the interviewer that is doing the interview. So edify them. And then the last thing, number 3 here, is to send them a DM video or some kind of video recording. Maybe it's a text, maybe it's an email, maybe it's a DM on Instagram or Facebook. But you want to just have your face in the picture that says, hey, the show just went live. I'd love for you to share it if you can. Thanks so much for being a guest. And that will simply make it harder for them to say no to sharing your show. It's really easy if someone says in an email, hey, could you share this? And it's really easy for them to act like they missed it or just brush it to the side or forget about it. But if you send them a message with a video in it, I mean, who doesn't open those messages? I mean, everyone opens a message with a video in it for them. Everyone. So they're going to read it, they're going to listen to it, and likely they will reciprocate and respond. So that is that's my 2 cents right there. So that's the second way to grow your show. Get your guests to share it and make sure you're clear about how you want them to share it before they get on the show. Number 3, and I didn't mention Twitter, but Twitter is another great way, another great thing you can use to get people to share your show. Most of the older crowd have Twitter accounts. So if they have a big Twitter following, then leverage that too. 3, the last one I'm going to share with you guys here on this little mini podcast / Instagram live, which I should probably do more of, to be honest. But anyways, the last one here is getting shout outs for shout outs. So if you're familiar with Instagram, a few years ago, it was very big to get shout outs for shout outs. So, hey, I shout you out, you shout me out. We've got similar audiences. It works. Now, the same thing happens or is happening with podcasting. So getting a show that's a similar niche than you, maybe you know the host, you've maybe interviewed them before, getting someone who you have a collaborative relationship with is an easy win for you. Easy win. All you got to do is share them, shout them out, give them a good referral, say, hey, I love the show. They talk about X, Y, and Z. Johnny is a great host. He does an awesome job. I listen to his show weekly. You guys should go subscribe. Have them do the same thing on their show and run it for a month and see how many more subscribers you get. I recently saw this or heard this. Who is it? It was with Jordan Harbinger, who is from the Jordan Harbinger show, and then also Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory. He gave a shout out for, I see the hearts. Thank you. He did a shout out for Jordan Harbinger, and I bet you a bunch of his followers went over and subscribed. I know I did. I knew Jordan Harbinger is really good. I should have been subscribed to the show already. But anyways, that is number 3, shout outs for shout outs. Reach out to other podcasts in your niche, in your realm. Don't blast it out, but like be aggressive with it. Say, hey, we'll shout you out. We'll give you a spot in our email lists, and leverage the win-win situation that you can create. So 3 simple ways to grow your podcast in 2019 right there. If you double down on those 3 or one of those 3, I guarantee your show will start to trend in the right direction. I'm going to be explaining a lot more about this in my upcoming book. But until then, I want you guys to enjoy that. And I wanted to get out here before the sun went down and I had to do this inside. So anyways, thank you for all my buddies on Instagram. Love y'all. And thank you for everyone on the podcast listening to this as well. I'm actually recording this from my phone with a mic. If you have any questions on how to do that, just DM me on Instagram at Louis Ryan Diaz, but it's super simple. And I will catch you guys later. The Podcast Domination Show, when you're hearing this on the podcast, obviously will be up. But if you're on Instagram right now, it will be up in December, mid-December. So stay tuned. I'll catch you guys later.
Hey, what's up? It's Louis again. Really hope you took something of value away from today's show. And don't forget, there's only one thing I want you to do if you need help, if you want to chat about this, if there's any way I can serve you, that is to text or maybe even give me a call. at 561-405-7838. That is a Google Voice number that goes directly to my phone, so I will be on demand for you, and we can chat about how we can help you grow, launch, or monetize your podcast. Thanks. I'll catch you next week.